Now where did this come from? Now recently during a project, I ran out of some counter space here in the workshop. So I got the clever idea to throw a towel over my table saw and stack a few things on top of it. Little did I know that some of those things were a little bit damp, and that led to unwanted surface rust. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I remove rust from my cast iron tools, how I clean and maintain them to keep everything in top shape. Now the first step is to remove the rust. Now for that, I'll be using WD-40, a abrasive pad, and to make my life a little bit easier, I'll be using a orbital sander. Now I recommend that you use the maroon pad from 3M. Now this black abrasive pad is exactly the same as the maroon one, it's just a different brand. And if you don't have an abrasive pad, you can also use 400 grit wet sandpaper.
Before you start the process, lower your blade and make sure your machine is off and disconnected. I'll start by spraying WD-40 directly onto the rusted areas and letting it sit for about 3 minutes. Then using the abrasive pad, with hardly any pressure, scrub the heavy rusted areas. The idea here is to remove the loose rust on top of the surface. Now after that, I'll wipe it clean with some paper towels and repeat the process, but this time I'll cover the entire tabletop and use my orbital sander along with the abrasive pad. I spray on the WD-40, spread it evenly, let it sit for a few minutes and then begin sanding. I use very light pressure and move in 2 directions. First up and down with overlapping passes, then left to right, making sure I cover every surface evenly. Once you're done, wipe it clean and repeat. Now how many times you repeat the process depends on how rusty the surface is. In my case, the rust is minimal, but if you're trying to remove significant rust, you might have to repeat the process several times. And if it's really bad, like in some restoration projects, it might be a good idea to rather start with something like vapor rust, to first break down all of the corrosion, followed by WD-40 and 320 grit sanding paper, and then moving on to using a abrasive pad. Now there might be some dark spots or marks that don't come off during this process, and that's completely normal. Don't try to sand it away by only focusing on one spot. That can lead to uneven surfaces. It's better to treat the entire area evenly. And once you're satisfied with the result, we can move on to the next step.
Now before applying any wax or protective coatings, we first need to thoroughly clean the surface by removing all of the oils and residues. Now for this, I'll be using Lebrun's wax and polish remover, but you can also use something like mineral spirits or any other solvent that will break down the oils.
To clean the surface, I use some paper towels, and then I repeat the process again, but this time I use a clean cloth. You might need to repeat this step a couple of times, just to ensure that all of the grime is fully removed.
Now the last and final step is to add a protective layer. Now I like to use a wax, but there's several different products out there that you can use for this step. Now this is only what works well for me and what I will recommend. Now the wax I'll be using is this machine wax from Axminster. It's easy to apply, low friction, and most importantly, it's silicone free, so it won't interfere with any wood finishes.
To apply the wax, I use a clean cloth to spread a generous layer of wax over the entire surface. Don't forget to wax your insert plate as well. After letting it dry for about a minute or 2, I buff it off with a new clean cloth until the surface feels smooth. And just like that, you've got a perfect smooth work surface.
Now keep in mind that wax alone won't prevent any rust. To keep the surface protected, you're going to have to maintain it. And how often depends on how frequent you use the machine. I usually reapply the wax every 3 months or so, or usually when I start to feel a little bit of friction while feeding wood across the surface. Now for general maintenance, you don't have to repeat the full rust removal process each time. You can basically just clean the surface and reapply the wax. Only break out the WD-40 and the abrasive pad once you see visible rust. Now that's basically my process to restore and maintain cast iron tools. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, please make sure you subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.